Thank you for tuning in to Astrology, Angels, and More. Welcome back. Tonight, we're going to be talking about angels and the interaction with different forms of energy healing. Now, we're also going to be talking about some of the aspects coming up for all of you in reference to astrology, especially the phases of the moon, and how it affects everyone, not just one particular sign. So, first of all, I'd like to say that we are in the time of Libra. So, happy birthday again to all you Libras out there. And if you had tuned into last month's show, you would see that we had discussed the personality of Libra and some other aspects of Libra. Every month, I'm talking about a particular astrological sign and different aspects as far as their personality, what their lucky stones are, lucky colors. So you can always go on YouTube and tune in to last month's show to hear more about Libra. However, we're moving into the time of Scorpio on October the 23rd. Now, the sun enters Scorpio on October 23rd, so then we'll be wishing a very happy birthday to all you Scorpios out there. Now, the color black and deep red and violet are the colors for Scorpio. They're very lucky colors. They empower Scorpios. And also the stones that empower a Scorpio is tiger's eye and malachite. You know, in reference to the personality of Scorpios, they're very instinctive and magnetic people, and also very intense and focused. Once they get on a particular subject, or if they have something that they would like to attain, or they really focus in on that to the point where they're relentless until they achieve that goal. And I got to tell you, that's what I really love about Scorpions. They're also highly intuitive people, highly intuitive. And sometimes, though, they can be a little bit secretive. And, you know, they can, when they fall in love, when a Scorpion is in love with you, they love all the way. Complete love, 100% love. And they're very focused on you. Now, one thing, though, about a Scorpio, you don't really want to cross them because they have a difficult time sometimes forgiving. And if it's a big hurt, they could carry that with them seriously to the grave. So you really don't want to cross a Scorpio in any way. It would just be better because they have a hard time forgiving. But they're very loving and protective people of the ones that they love. Absolutely protective. Now, I wanted to talk about, the filming of this show, is on October the 10th, 2019. We are already experiencing the effects of the Aries full moon, which will be completely full on October the 13th. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean for all of us? Well, one of the qualities of this particular full moon is that it gives us a tremendous amount of courage, especially if we want to start something new. The Aries full moon brings about tremendous ability to start a new project. It just goes smoother and easier at this particular time. The effects of any moon, a full moon or a new moon, last 3 days before, the day of, and 3 days after the actual full moon. So, or the new moon. So that's something to keep in mind, because a lot of times especially people who do any kind of new moon or full moon ceremonies, or if they're putting their crystals out in the light of the full moon, they think they have to do it right on that day. And that's absolutely not so. You have the effects. As I said, it really lasts for a week. And we are already in to the beautiful Aries full moon. Don't allow fear to hold you back, especially in reference to this full moon. This is the time that you will receive great courage and fulfillment if you set out to start a new goal. Now, one of the things that I also wanted to mention in reference to this full moon is at the same time, lucky Jupiter is making a wonderful lucky aspect to this full moon. And it's actually making a trine. In astrology, the aspect of a trine is very good. It's very lucky. It's very beneficial. And what this is doing is actually creating a cleansing power to all of us. Then we have on October the 27th, we'll be dealing with the Scorpio new moon. That's a powerful one. And that's a time of high levels of intuition. And if you're trying to make up your mind about a new project that you would like to start, or something that you would like to do, or if you want to receive insight, especially at the time of the Scorpio new moon, to go into a meditation and allow yourself to get the answers that you're seeking from within, it would be a perfect time to do that. Now, one of the things also that will be happening at the time of October 27th, the Scorpio new moon, and remember that's 3 days before the day of October 27th and 3 days after, we will be having an opposition, which is another astrological aspect. It's a term in astrology that describes a particular aspect between two planets. And we're dealing with Uranus. That's the planet of great change, and that will be in Taurus. So you may receive some opposing views from other people, but realize you really have to go to the beat of your own drum. And what you're feeling intuitively at the time of that Scorpio new moon, that is something that I would go by more so than the opposing views that you might receive from others. Also at this time, what has been hidden may rise to the surface, and you'll be able to see things more clearly. Now, on Halloween, October the 31st, Mercury goes retrograde, and it's going to be retrograde until November 20th. But there's nothing to worry about having Mercury retrograde. People get upset about that. But the truth of the matter is, all it is a time for you to be able to just go within and set up your plans and your goals. It's a time of preparation, really. However, it is not a good time between October 31st and November 20th to be signing contracts unless you really cross every T and dot every I. And it could also be a time of some miscommunications. So just be careful of the way that you word things so that you're not misunderstood. Now, tonight, I'm very excited that we're going to be discussing Archangel Uriel, and I have a very special guest tonight that I'd like to introduce right now. Hi, Daniel. This is Daniel Irizarry, and he is a Holy Fire Reiki Master teacher, and you're also a managing director for a Fortune 500 company, aren't you, at the same time? Talk about duality. And also, Daniel happens to be my son. So, Daniel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. In my day-to-day life, I work in financial services, but as it applies to this show, I was trained and certified in Holy Fire, Reiki Master, teacher, and I've also experienced the reconnection. And growing up in an environment where there's no barriers or boundaries on your belief system, and being able to connect internally with what is in the universe around us, and also being able to really hone in on and craft any of the latent skills that are inside has really been beneficial for me, not only in my personal life but in my practice.
Yes. Well, that's because you grew up with me as your mother,
Yes.
right? And I luckily had grown up in a family, as you know, from your grandmother and your grandfather and all your aunts and your uncle, etc., that our family was always very spiritual. And so you grew up that way. So any of your personal blessings and gifts were never impeded. You were always open to everything in the universe.
That's correct.
Now, we're talking about Archangel Uriel tonight, and that is the reason why I asked you to be my guest, okay? And especially in reference to the Holy Fire and what we're going to be talking about the reconnection and reconnective healing. But Archangel Uriel happens to be Daniel's guardian angel and my guardian angel. It just happens to be that way. All right. And, you know, when we are born, when all of us are born, we are assigned one particular guardian angel to love us and protect us and guide us. But also, the reason that God assigns one particular guardian angel is in order to help us fulfill our soul's purpose. And I find it so interesting that what Daniel does for a living and what I do for a living also, as you know, I'm a professional astrologer and a healer in many ways and a hypnotist. So I'm always helping others. So Daniel also helps others. And why don't you tell us a little bit about how Archangel Uriel and all the angels help you in your everyday business?
Sure. When I work in my profession, and I'm talking with families or business owners about their financial needs, it's difficult at times to be able to determine exactly what the right solution is based on the information that is given. So I call upon Archangel Uriel at times where, you know, I'm facing, you know, a difficult situation where I may need some intuitive support, I'll call it. And where I feel that calling upon an archangel or calling upon the angels in general benefits me in my practice is that it frees me up to be insightful to the different facts and details that someone can provide to you about their situation that you may not normally incorporate into a given financial services product or solution.
So solutions, that's a key word, what you just said there, because, you know, Archangel Uriel is the one that gives solutions. So, you know, a lot of people I have found over the years that have the guardian angel, Archangel Uriel, they may be priests, rabbis, ministers, social workers, astrologers, okay, hypnotists, things like that. So now, as far as it applies to you, why don't you explain how Archangel Uriel helps you bring the solutions about for people? Because Archangel Uriel is usually assigned by God to a person who helps others solve their problems.
So one of my roles in business is I'm in leadership. So as a leader of people in the financial services community, it's at times challenging to help them with their different needs. So by channeling into the Archangel Uriel and identifying potential solutions that at times can seem outside the box, so to speak, has been very beneficial for me and the people that I work with.
Very nice. Well, you know, Archangel Uriel what his name means is the fire of God.
Right.
But you already knew that, okay? But that's for our audience out there so that they know that's what his name means. And also, Archangel Uriel is the one that instills the Holy Spirit into the hearts of man and womankind. So, that is how he is of service. And what I find very interesting is the fact that you were also drawn to the Holy Fire Reiki, which to me, as a Holy Fire Karuna Reiki master, and I happen to be your Reiki master too, okay, because I attuned you. You were in my classes along with a lot of other people, but you did beautifully in my classes. I mean, it just came naturally to you. And that's because what the Holy Fire Reiki works with is the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Fire Reiki is of extremely high level of Reiki, isn't it?
Yeah, when I use Reiki energy in my day-to-day life, it can be a situation where I see someone maybe going through some pain, a difficult time in their life. They may have lost a loved one. They may be experiencing a challenge in their life that it seems that they need some additional guidance and support. So with Reiki energy healing, I find it phenomenal that we're able to act as vessels and conduits of sorts to channel that divine energy onto others and to help other folks in their lives.
And, I know that you had experienced Reiki prior to the Holy Fire also. I remember. And the difference, hadn't you really noticed a difference between the Usui Reiki and then the higher level of Holy Fire Reiki? Like, what were the differences that you had noticed?
Yeah, I mean, aside from the actual literal hot hands feeling when you're attuned to the holy fire, the ease of channeling into that energy and the power that it feels like is flowing through you. It's not my power, it's not my energy. I'm just a conduit. It's energy that's coming from somewhere else and going out to help others. And it can happen not just in someone's presence. So, for example, my daughter recently broke her wrist. Poor little girl. She was playing in the schoolyard and she tripped and fell. No harm, no foul. No one did anything out of sorts. But she broke her wrist. And when I found that out, I was over an hour away working. So what I did was I hit a timeout on my day-to-day life, and I sat back and got into a meditative state and sent my daughter Reiki energy to help heal her in her time of crisis. And then, when I was able to, I went and spent some time with her, and obviously, helped her through this.
Well, I really feel that helped her. The reason is because I remember when you called me and told me that she had fallen and had broken her wrist. I mean, it was extremely upsetting. And, you really thought that she was going to have a cast, a hard cast.
Yeah.
But then the next day, when she went, she only ended up having to have a brace instead of the cast.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I have to tell you, I attribute that to the holy fire that you had sent her. I do.
Yeah, the original diagnosis was that she had a broken wrist, and it turned out to be just a bone buckle, and it's something that she'll grow through, and there will be no permanent damage. Now, having said that, I did apply Reiki energy from a distance, and then also when I was with her, I also applied Reiki energy. And what's great about Reiki is that you can do it in a way that is extremely invasive, meaning you don't have to physically touch another human being. It is the transference of energy that is done so from far distances and also when you're close to someone, but you don't actually have to physically touch another human being in order to transfer that healing energy. And I find that to be extremely useful in my personal life, obviously, but then also in my day-to-day in business. If I see that someone's having a bad day or identify that there's a problem, I'm able to help ease their pain. And I feel I have a calling in life to help others. I'm in the industry that I'm in because I found that tapping into the metaphysical learnings that I've had, the trainings and certifications that I've had, the easiest way for me to help the community on a day-to-day basis is in financial services. Doesn't sound like it's normally the connection that's made between those two schools of thought. However, when you have an open mind and you apply what you've learned in your day-to-day life, you'll find that regardless of what your career or practice is, that Reiki energy healing, if you're attuned and you start to learn more about the universe around you, you're able to share that positive energy with others in a way that is extremely beneficial, not only to the people that you're helping, but to yourself, because I feel we're all put here to help each other.
Well, in your office, you actually have the Reiki ideals framed and hanging in your office.
That's right.
Right?
I actually did.
Did you bring it?
Yeah. So we've got a
Good.
couple of props here today.
Okay.
This is
Good.
the if I'm at the right camera, this is the Reiki ideals that hang in my office, and it opens up conversations with clients and folks that I work with to discuss, having an open mind about certain things. So these ideals I read on a daily basis. I'll share it with you just briefly. It states, just for today, do not anger, do not worry, and be filled with gratitude. Devote yourself to your work. Be kind to people. Every morning and evening, join your hands in prayer. Pray these words to your heart and chant these words with your mouth. This helps center me for my work day on a daily basis. And at the end of the day, I take a look at it and recite these words because it really helps identify what I'm trying to accomplish for the day. Did I take care of everything? And it's really a nice opening and closing to my day. And it's not something that takes more than, 20 seconds to do.
Well, that's beautiful, Daniel. That's absolutely beautiful. And when I came to the ribbon cutting, the opening of your new office, and I was talking to everyone there, I mean, this is something that you share with others.
Absolutely.
On a daily basis.
Yeah, this isn't something that I keep in the dark.
No,
or hide.
absolutely not.
This is all beautiful and positive.
Absolutely. And isn't there something else that you have that I think?
Yes.
Yeah, there it is. That you have in your office. There we go.
So I brought another prop, and that is the Phoenix. So this Phoenix statue is near and dear to my heart. I'll just put it right in the front for you to see. This statue was given to me actually by my mother. And what this Phoenix statue represents is there was a time in my life where I needed to reinvent myself and make some positive changes. And when I was experiencing, the trials and tribulations that can occur to any human being in their life in this world, I found that the Phoenix was a strong representation of what I was going through, and it truly does represent reinventing oneself and the ability to overcome any obstacle and the strength that exists within the Phoenix and in that fire. It is really powerful. So it's a constant reminder to me that I keep in my office of what I've gone through and where I am now.
And I have a statue just like yours, but it isn't exactly like yours in my office. And it sits right there. Well, you've seen at my office at home, right?
Yes.
And that's where I do my writing. And it's a reminder. But the Phoenix is extremely strong totem medicine. And for people who don't understand totem medicine, what totem medicine is that there's different animals or birds or insects that they come and they give you medicine because we're connected to the universe. So we're connected to one another, but we're also connected to Mother Earth, the animal kingdom, and etc. And sometimes when people are in need of certain kinds of emotional or even physical medicines, and especially, the Native American people, as you understand, really, really, really utilize this and understand it tremendously.
Yeah.
And that's why it's called totem medicine. So, yes, because you had even seen a butterfly when we came in the studio you were talking about, right?
Yeah, so as we were sitting waiting to come into the studio, a butterfly flew by, and I just made a comment about it. But growing up, it was something that I would reach out to my mother and say, I can't get this animal out of my sight.
Yes.
You know, you can be driving down the road and you can see a sign that says something to do with wolves. And then you can actually watch a movie, and it could be a movie about wolves. And then you can be, just scrolling through the internet, and you can see pictures. So when you see a common theme where there's a particular animal that just keeps coming across your path in any way, shape, or form, whether it's in writing, whether it's visual, that's generally totem medicine. In our background, I have Native American lineage, in my blood. So it's something that I've been open-minded to from an early age, and from the teachings of my mother, I've learned that the Native American culture believes strongly in totem medicine. And what I found is that when I take a moment and do some research, everyone has a smartphone, look up the animal in totem medicine and see what type of information the world is trying to share with you, it will give you tremendous insight into the challenges or the situations that you're dealing with in that moment, and it'll help with providing guidance and understanding of what you're going through and potentially how you should be reacting to your environment. An example would be the fox. I remember a time period in my life where the fox kept coming up. And that totem means to be a little deft in your movement. If you take on the characteristics of that animal, you may find that's the skill sets that are needed to overcome the obstacle or the challenge that you're being faced with.
Yes, absolutely. And butterflies, so you had noticed the butterfly outside, and that's transformation.
Right.
And, I can remember years and years ago, many years ago, that the butterfly, I'd come out of the house, and as soon as I came out of the house, butterflies were flying all around me. And one time, we were stopped on the highway on Route 130 in North Brunswick, and it was like I'm stopped at a red light, and all these butterflies are flying around the car. I mean, tons of butterflies, and that was a time of great transformation for me. Now, as far as the phoenix, I remember when you had started telling me, you started like noticing the phoenix quite a bit. And that's one of the reasons why I had gotten you that statue, and also the statue in order to help give you that remembrance of what it is. And there was a time in my life too where the phoenix was extremely important. So yes, and you perfectly explained to the audience exactly what totem medicine does. That if you continually notice like a certain animal or bird, or if you start noticing that, oh, robins keep coming around, I keep seeing robins. Why do I keep seeing robins? It's just the universe calling to your attention some kind of something that you need from that particular animal. So the qualities of that animal, they're trying to give you their medicine and help you. Right. So that's absolutely great. So, you're talking about when you had a transition in your life, and that's what the phoenix represents. And I strongly suggest to our audience, as you said before, all they have to do is Google. And they'll find out, like, really what the phoenix is extremely, extremely powerful. But they'll find out if they're seeing bears all the time, then they're going to find out exactly what's going on with that. Bears are healing, by the way, very powerful healing. But the other thing is that I wanted to talk about is when you were going through that transition in your life, I remember that you had also asked me if I would do a reconnection for you and reconnective healing. So, I mean, we're talking about several different kinds of healing here now, right?
Yes,
First,
yeah.
we're talking about holy fire, and now we're talking about reconnective healing. And reconnective healing is a completely different type of energy medicine. Actually, Archangel Metatron, and if Brian, if you have the picture of Metatron that I had given you, if you could put him up, okay, that's Archangel Metatron. He works beautiful with the reconnection and reconnective healing, and when you want great change to happen suddenly. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. And Daniel, also, I think we have a statue of Metatron there, don't we?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
There you
yeah.
go.
There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, that's the statue of Metatron here. This is what Metatron looks like. This is my personal statue of Metatron. And the reason that I'm crazy about Metatron, he's a huge angel, and he's one of only two that had ever walked this earth. Originally, and I've spoken about this on the show before, and actually on God's Way Yahweh, that show, they talk about it a lot, and so have I as a guest there. And Archangel Metatron is the one who can bring tremendous change in your life when it's needed. And you had worked with Archangel Metatron, didn't you, during the period of time when you received the reconnection and reconnective healing?
That's right.
Okay, do you still work with Metatron now?
When change is needed, when change is needed, because life has to have purpose. So what I found is that when I focus on my purpose, and instead of focusing on a daily basis of all the rebalancing that needs to occur, as I walk towards my purpose, I draw upon Archangel Metatron when I need that dramatic change or difference. There was a time period in my life where I identified that I was drinking too much. Let's just call it what it is. So I was drinking alcohol too much and realized that I needed to make a change. So I went to my mother as a holistic healer and said, "Mom, help."
Yes.
And
And that was many years ago.
And she did. And she did. And one of the things that she helped me do was go through what's called the reconnection.
Yes, and what the reconnection is it's not Reiki, and lots of times people they get it mixed up. The reconnection was actually discovered by quite inadvertently out in California by a chiropractor who had a reconnection from actually he says a gypsy. But anyway, what it is, and then he noticed after he had the reconnection that every time that he was doing any kind of adjustments on any of his patients, that other kinds of healing were happening. It was unusual. But what the reconnection is there are ley lines on the earth, which is like a grid. Just like on our body, we have ley lines, which are the acupuncture points, the meridians on our body. And we also, up in the star system, in the universe, there is grids. Through the star system. And so what the reconnection is that, such as when I do a reconnection and what I did for you and what I had received myself at one point, and I've done for many people, is that you're moving energy so that you can reconnect the person's meridians on their body, which are their ley lines, connect them back to Mother Earth, to the ley lines of the earth, and to the grid and the star system, the meridians up in the universe. What happens is that, as we have been evolving here on Earth, we have kind of lost that connection, I mean, speaking to you, and as the audience can see, you're still very highly connected to the universe, and I'm highly connected to the universe. But a lot of people, they lose that because they become so earthly bound that they're not completely connected anymore to where we originated from, which is the source. And what the reconnection does, and it's a once in a lifetime thing, only one time,
Right.
it's done. It's done in a matter of 2 days simultaneously, or maybe 2 days in between there, but it's just 2 times. But what happens is people report tremendous changes in their life. And that's what happened to you, I remember.
Yeah. So to be clear, from the alcohol perspective, I stopped drinking December 1st, 2012. So one of the things that helped me out with making that dramatic change in my life is the reconnection. And to put it in layman's terms, in my opinion, without going in the weeds on exactly all the different metaphysical ways that the reconnection connects you to the ley lines, is that I felt like a puppet. So if you picture a puppet that is controlled by a puppeteer, generally you picture a wooden cross at the top, some strings hanging down, and the puppet laying there limp and loose when the strings are loose. And what I felt is that after experiencing the reconnection, I felt like all the strings got tightened and put in their proper place, and that I was able to feel the way I needed to feel, move the way I needed to move, and act the way I needed to act in the right fashion. And I felt like the reconnection was a literal reconnecting of all of those lines that connect you. So, as you said,
Yes.
the ley lines and connecting to the earth and to the universe, I experienced it and felt it, and it changed my life for a positive result.
That's a wonderful analogy.
Thanks.
Wonderful analogy. I like that. Yeah, I mean, over the years, a lot of my clients have come back, and I've seen like the changes that it has made in their lives. So, when a person really feels stuck, well, one of the things though, that when I had done the reconnection for you, I had also suggested that you start working with Archangel Metatron more.
Right.
Remember that? And also there was a book that I had suggested at the time for you possibly, if you wanted to read, which is called The Keys of Enoch. And that book is extremely insightful, highly insightful. Some book, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. But also the multivite. Now, Archangel Metatron and the reconnection work beautifully with multivite. Do we have a picture there of multivite that you could pop up there, Brian? There it is. Now, multivite is not a stone from this earth. It actually is a meteorite that had fallen. Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much. It's a meteorite that had fallen here to this earth. And you were working with multivite during that period of time. Well, you still have your multivite too that you work
I
with.
do.
Yes.
However, the way that I used multivite, and you, please feel free to speak about this, but the way I use multivite is that I wore it on a necklace. So I had it around my neck during that transformative period in my life, and during that life change, probably wore it for about a year.
Right.
Probably wore it for about a year. And what I noticed is that it's almost like an enhancement to these dramatic changes that you're trying to make. I would not recommend wearing multivite or carrying multivite on a daily basis, because then you would, in my opinion, be constantly in a state of change. So when you're trying to make dramatic changes, not little changes, but dramatic changes, I would definitely recommend carrying some multivite. But once you feel that change is complete or that transformation is complete, it's safe to store it away for the next time that you may need to make a change in your life.
Right, because I recommend to my clients that when they start working with multivite, that they do it for maybe only 15 minutes a day, because if not, it can give you a tremendous headache.
Yeah. It's a very powerful stone, and,
Right.
and again, it doesn't come from this earth, so who am I to to know what the geological factors of it are, but it is
Nobody
powerful.
really knows.
It is
Nobody,
powerful.
nobody really knows. And so anyway, but Multivite and Archangel Metatron work beautifully together.
Yes, they do.
So even if a person has never had a reconnection, or if they, don't care to have a reconnection, even if you get a little bit of Multivite, or you just call on Archangel Metatron. Archangel Metatron also is a very powerful angel that I make suggestions to my clients all the time, that if they're having a situation with a child that maybe has ADD or something like that, or ADHD, that Archangel Metatron works beautifully. But Archangel Metatron is also someone to call upon. He is the protector of children. He loves to help children. And Archangel Metatron, he's huge. He comes huge when he shows himself. He's very, very, very powerful angel. And he's one of two. The other angel that had walked on this earth, incarnate on this earth, was Sandalphon. And we'll be doing another show one day on Sandalphon. But so now the other thing is that Archangel Metatron heals grief.
That's right.
Heals grief.
Yeah, so in my practice, one of the things that I offer to folks is life insurance. And unfortunately, when you've been doing this as long as I have, people pass away. So I sit down with folks when they've lost a loved one, and during that claims process, I will call upon Metatron to guide my words and to help with the soothing aspect of the situation, because losing a loved one is obviously it's the worst experience.
Well, also, one of the things that I know that you do, because I know that you also speak to extremely large groups of people.
That's correct.
Like 1,000 people.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I do some public speaking from time to time, get on different panels
Right.
within my industry, and it's definitely helpful at those times as well.
Well, one of the things that I know, well, anyway, so you also, from what you were telling me, you call upon Archangel Gabriel, and that helps with your words and things like that. I have to tell you, before I ever do a show or I do any kind of a talk, I always ask Archangel Gabriel to come in and help me with finding the words. But I think that's wonderful that you ask Metatron to be there with you when you're dealing with people in a time of grief. I think that's absolutely wonderful, Daniel. So now, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, though, is because another thing that I know that you do, that you have had a very special interest in, is helping with special needs.
Yeah, so
insurance.
One of the niches and areas of my practice that I take to heart is special needs planning, and that's working with families that have dependents with special needs. And I find that by being patient and understanding with families that have dependents with special needs, and knowing that this is not going to be a cookie cutter scenario, and that there's going to be some outside the box strategies that we're going to implement, and having the right guidance and support for those folks during the planning aspect of the conversation definitely helps by calling upon Archangel Metatron, who is the who watches over children, and I love the fact that he's so grandiose and tall in nature, because what better representation would there be to protect the youth and the innocents?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I gotta tell you. Now, Archangel Metatron, one of the stones that he loves is the amethyst. And I have an amethyst here, and I know that you love amethyst, don't you?
I do.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Even,
what are you getting in your
another
pocket?
prop. Not that big, but there's some amethyst right there. I carry it with me.
Okay.
I was actually given this amethyst at a very early age by a good friend of mine's cousin. Her name is Jade. So thank you, Jade, for the amethyst.
Yeah.
I still have it.
Jade.
But yeah, I use this. I use this as almost a turbocharger and enhancement to anything that I'm trying to accomplish. So I feel that it empowers me to accomplish whatever the goal is that I have set forth.
What else do you have in your pocket there? I
Okay.
think you have
Yeah,
something
so I
else.
mean,
So
you know,
this
you
is
think
like on a
it's
daily
so
basis,
aside
right?
from pens and calculators and stuff, I do also have on me lapis lazuli.
There we go.
So this right here helps with formulating your speech, and it really helps with guiding my words so that I'm conveying a message that I want to convey.
And that helps you on a daily basis, huh?
Yeah, I carry lapis lazuli and amethyst with me pretty much everywhere I go. I don't usually see a time where it doesn't help me out. And then the one other thing I'll mention was, since we're on it,
Yes.
I wear onyx. So if you can see that on my wrist, these are all onyx. I wear it to help ground me, because when we're dealing with metaphysical situations and calling upon archangels and things of that nature, sometimes it's important to stay grounded so that you can see the world as it's supposed to be perceived on an earthly plane.
That's very nice, Daniel. Very, very nice. Well, I noticed that you're wearing red, and so am I, because that's the color that Archangel Uriel really aspires to, and so does Metatron. They both love the color red. So that's why I wore red today, too, in honor of them.
Yeah.
But Archangel Uriel now, wow, comes on sometimes a beautiful ruby red light, like a ray of light, but with sparkles in there. And you know that it's Archangel Uriel coming to you when you see the sparkles. And so we were talking about earlier too, before the show, about the signs of the angels, and you were telling me
Yes.
that's very interesting.
Yeah, so different times in my life when I've called upon an angel to be there and to help and support and guide, there's physical manifestations of that support. And sometimes you'll see like a feather falling in a place where there is no earthly reason a feather should be. Like if you're driving in a car and all of a sudden there's a feather, how did that feather get there? Or if you're indoors and you see a feather, how did that feather get there? And what I like to believe is that feather is a physical representation and manifestation of the spiritual guidance you're getting from either an angel or an archangel that's there helping and supporting you when you don't even know it sometimes. The way I feel about the world is, if you look at, if say you look at the world and everything that you see is a reflection of the light and the sun, and you see the world as it is, if you were to take that and just switch the angle of it, and now you're looking at the world from a different angle, what is going on in the front and in the background of the world that we perceive? It's really interesting stuff, and it makes me believe more and more when there's physical manifestations in our earthly realm.
Well, besides feathers, do you ever notice anything else?
Change in temperature, music, sound. The lights can flicker, so I don't know if you've ever noticed that when you're in a deep conversation with someone and you seem to be connecting at a different level, then more often than not, there will be almost like a flickering of the lights, as if someone flickered the light switch on and off in the room, yet nobody did that. And if you ask them, hey, did you see that? More often than not, they'll say, yeah, I did. And you'll kind of sit there and feel a little like, okay, wait, ooh, this is getting a little kooky, but at the end of the day, everything's fine, and no one's getting, nothing bad's happening.
So, I really feel that, here you are, a managing director of a Fortune 500 company, and I know how hard you work, and I know how many people you manage and what you do.
Thanks.
You work extremely hard. And I really feel, though, that there are so many people out there that are in all kinds of positions in life that are asking their angels and utilizing these beautiful energies, these universal energies. But, a lot of them aren't going to come right out and say it and admit it.
Yeah,
right?
It definitely goes against the I'll say the normal perception of society and it's something that that I've never felt ashamed of, or something that I need to hide. So in my daily conversations with people, when appropriate, I'll bring stuff like this up. When I'm calling upon an angel or anything of that nature, I'm not doing it with like an invocation or a chant with other people in the room.
Right.
It's internal. It's something you're doing inside, but you feel the effects of it nonetheless. And I can tell you that regardless of your profession, whatever career you're in, or if you're in between careers, working with the angels and understanding the astrological aspects that exist in this world are never a bad thing. It's always going to result in clarification on what's going on, knowledge of yourself, and knowledge of others that you interact with. So regardless if it's an astrological item that you're reviewing to help you better understand a situation or another person, or if you're calling upon the angels for guidance and support, there's nothing wrong with that. Tap into that energy that exists around you, and you'll be positively surprised.
Absolutely. I agree. Is there anything else that you would like to sum up? I mean, now, obviously, being your mother, you grew up this way.
Absolutely.
Okay. But what about people who didn't have that kind of luxury?
The internet's a powerful place, so you could start there by doing some research. And I can tell you that that doesn't mean that it doesn't matter what religion you are, what nationality, race, creed, or color. The universe is here for us all to live in, so it doesn't matter. You can open up your mind, you can open up your heart, and you can experience the world potentially in a slightly different way. You don't have to dramatically alter anything in your life. You can just connect.
Okay, so thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I have to say before we wrap up that I really appreciate you having me on your show, and I wanted to tell you how very proud I am and our whole family is of you and all the great work you do for people on a daily basis, as well as the hearts and minds of the audience and the people that you touch, whoever watches your show. So I want to thank you for that, and thank you for having me as a guest today. And I look forward to watching all of your episodes and tuning in and seeing how you provide valuable information to the community. And it may be stuff that people aren't used to hearing, but it's important to tap into that information.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I've been doing this my whole life.
Yes.
So, your whole life that you
Yes,
know
my
of.
whole life. Yes.
Your whole life that you know of. But that's the goal, and that's the goal of this show. That's why I'm so excited about this show, because it helps people and gives them the tools and the understanding of how astrology and the angels and the universe and the energy medicines can help enhance their lives, right? And make their lives better.
Yeah,
So,
but before we close, I'm
Yes.
sorry, but I would be remiss not to say, hi, Johnny and Ava. Daddy loves you.
Grandma loves you too. Okay. So, but anyway, the thing is that I'd like to send out a beautiful blessing to our audience. So if you would just sit back, maybe take a deep breath, close your eyes if you like, or leave them open. It doesn't matter. But I'd like to send a beautiful angelic blessing to you right now. Now, I would like to call upon Archangel Uriel, who's the fire of God, Archangel Zadkiel, Archangel Michael, Archangel Chamuel, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Jophiel, Metatron, Sandalphon, and all the angels to bring beauty and joy and peace and health and abundance and love into your life. Angelic blessings, and God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and many blessings to you. If you have any questions regarding the show, or if you would like to share any of your angelic experiences, be sure to email the studio, or you can email Mary Silvernail, astrologer, at gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you and your experiences. Thank you very much. And thank you, Daniel, for coming here tonight and sharing all your great wisdom. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. So I wanted to say that I'm looking forward to the holidays coming up. And aren't you?
Yeah.
And sharing...
With the holidays coming up, it reminds you that the calendar's constantly changing. And I can tell you that one of the things I don't know if we touched on was the tremendous insight you've provided to me with the astrological aspect of the universe.
Yes.
And understanding the various different signs on the zodiac chart. And when you get to know someone and they share some of their information with you about, oh, I'm an Aries or I'm a Taurus, and you start to get to know how that person reacts to different situations and understanding how you connect what their zodiac sign is to how they may interpret a situation. It does help tremendously in my practice, and I really appreciate all of the knowledge and information that you've instilled in me in all aspects of the world.
Well, thank you.
I couldn't ask for a better mother.
Oh, thank you, Daniel. Daniel Anthony, thank you. Such a beautiful compliment. You know, with you bringing up before about the interaction and understanding astrologically, that's important because with the holidays coming up, we have Thanksgiving coming and Christmas, and there's a lot of interaction with family members that sometimes can be a little bit difficult. But if you have an understanding, then it's better. Thank you so much for coming here today. I really appreciate it. Thanks again, Daniel. Many blessings. Many, many bright blessings.